NATO alliance has deadly weapons that will definitely shock the world. NATO has a big military advantage over Russia because of the various deadly rocket artillery it has access to. NATO can call on these weapons from any of its member countries whenever they need to. Do you want to know the various rocket artillery that NATO could deploy against Russia? Then stay till the end of this video. One of the most lethal weapons on the modern battlefield is rocket artillery. Rocket artillery systems are particularly deadly because of their capacity to destroy a position before units have the opportunity to take cover. They are designed to pump out a large volume of fire in a short amount of time. The Russian army is well known for its artillery systems, and some of these artilleries have been deployed in the current Russia-Ukraine war. The following rocket artillery are some of the best that NATO can use to counter the Russian forces. The M270 MLRS. The M270 Several Launch Rocket System, or M270 MLRS, is an armored, self-propelled rocket launcher with multiple rockets. The MLRS has been deployed by various NATO countries since the first M270s were supplied to the U.S. Army in 1983. More than 700,000 rockets and 1,300 M270 systems have been built in the United States and Europe. The M270 was produced until 2003, when the Egyptian army received the final batch. Rockets, or MGM-140 ATACMS missiles, could be fired from the system's replaceable pods. 6 conventional rockets, or 1 guided ATACMS missile, are contained in each pod. The two types cannot be mixed. The LLM can store 2 pods at once, which are manually loaded with the use of an inbuilt winch mechanism. In less than a minute, all 12 rockets or 2 ATACMS missiles can be launched. One launcher can cover 1 square kilometer with submunitions if it fires 12 rockets. For this reason, the MLRS is sometimes referred to as the grid square removal system, or informally among artillery personnel as the finger of God, since a single launcher can sanitize an entire grid square, which is about the size of a fingertip on a typical map. The M26 cluster rocket, which packed 644 dual-purpose submunitions during the Cold War, was the standard rocket. Due to cluster munitions treaties, a new rocket with a unitary high-explosive warhead is now being fielded. The system is meant to be reloaded fast by swapping pods. The ATACMS tactical guided missile, which could be used in place of 1 rocket pod, is also designed to be fired by the MLRS. The M142 HIMARS. The M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, or HIMARS, is a light multiple rocket launcher for the U.S. Army that is installed on a conventional Army M1140 truck frame. It was designed in the late 1990s. The HIMARS carries 6 rockets, or 1 MGM-140 ATACMS missile on the U.S. Army's new family of Medium Tactical Vehicles, or FMTV, 5-ton truck, and can launch the entire Multiple Launch Rocket System family of munitions, or MFOM. The HIMARS ammo is interchangeable with the MLRS M270A1. However, it can only carry 1 pod instead of the 2 that the M270 and A1 variants can. The launcher can be transported by C-130. The original equipment manufacturer of the FMTV, BAE Systems Mobility and Protection Systems, manufactured the chassis. The Oshkosh Corporation took over the production of the chassis in 2010. This ceased in 2017, and Lockheed Martin Missiles and Fire Control in Camden, Arkansas, currently produces both the chassis and the launcher system. In some regards, the HIMARS may be considered a smaller cousin of the MLRS. The HIMARS can only mount 1 6-rocket pod compared to the MLRS's 2. It also features a more contemporary fire control. The system is substantially more strategically mobile than the M270 since it is C-130 transportable. Because it is placed on a truck chassis, it is also less expensive to repair than the M270. This does, however, limit its tactical mobility. NATO countries have recently expressed interest in the system, with Poland purchasing 20 launchers in late 2018. In early 2018, Romania also purchased the HIMARS. Next, we have the LAROM. The LAROM is a Romanian-built, highly mobile multiple rocket launcher that is mounted on a DAC 25.360 6x6 truck and is used by Romanian land forces. It was developed in partnership with Israel. There are currently 54 systems in use, all of which are managed by the 8th Mixed Artillery Brigade. It was most likely influenced by the Soviet Army's BM-21 Grad 122mm multiple rocket launcher (MRL) system, which used a 6x6 truck chassis with a bank of 40 122mm launch tubes arrayed in a rectangle configuration that could be angled away from the unprotected cabin. With 2 pods on a launcher, the LAROM standard launch pod containers can accommodate 13 LAR Mk4 rockets, or 20 Grad rockets. The LAROM could fire both ordinary 122mm rockets and the more sophisticated 160mm rockets, with a strike range of 20 to 45 kilometers. The Grad 122mm rocket is used to suppress and destroy large groups of targets. It has an 18-kilogram high explosive payload, a range of about 20 kilometers, and can fire up to 2 rounds per second in salvos. Composite solid propellants are used in the LAR 160 160mm rockets. The rocket is spin stabilizing in flight via wraparound stabilizing fins deployed upon the rocket exiting the launcher. The Mk4 rocket may carry a variety of payloads and is most typically equipped with the HE COFRAM, or Cluster Munition Warhead. The cluster warhead is controlled by an electronic time fuse that releases the bomblet canister at the estimated height, giving each cluster warhead an area coverage of around 31,400 square meters. The LAR Mk4 has a minimum range of 10 kilometers and a maximum range of 45 kilometers, and can be fired in salvos of up to 1 round every 1.8 seconds. The operator can fire rockets from the truck cabin or up to 50 meters away from the vehicle. Single shots, partial, and complete salvos are all possible with the LAROM. Advanced Artillery Command and Control System was included in these multiple launch rocket systems. Before we look at the last and probably most deadly rocket artillery NATO owns, be sure to subscribe for more content like this. The final rocket artillery we will look at is the T-300 Kasirga. The Turkish T-300 Kasirga is maybe the only NATO rocket artillery system comparable to the Russian-Soviet BM-30 Smerch in terms of heavy capability. The T-300, which fires enormous 300mm rockets, is one of NATO's longest-range rocket artillery systems, with missiles capable of reaching 100 kilometers. This is significantly longer than the 70 kilometers that the M270 can reach with M30, M31 GMLRS rockets, although rockets in deployment may extend the M270's range out to 150 kilometers. The T-300 also boasts one of the heaviest artillery rocket warheads in NATO's arsenal. The M31's unitary warhead weighs 90 kilograms. This is significantly less than the T-300's 150 kilogram or the Smerch's enormous 243 kilogram warheads. During the 1990s, Turkey made proposals for rocket and ballistic missile technology transfer, joint development, and co-production to a number of countries, including China, France, and Israel. The best offer came from China. As a result, in 1997, a cooperative development and production agreement for a variation of the WS-1 multiple launch rocket system was signed in Turkey. Rokistan manufactures the T-300 Kasirga, or Hurricane, in Turkey. The Turkish system differed from the WS-1 in a few ways. It was built on the chassis of a German MAN 6x6 tactical vehicle. The prototype was built in 2000, and the first test launch took place in Turkey. The Kasirga entered service with the Turkish military in 2000. It was shipped to Azerbaijan in 2016. During the war in Nagorno-Karabakh in 2020, these artillery rockets were used. Bangladesh purchased a regiment of these rocket systems in 2019. Deliveries are scheduled to end in 2021. This system employs guided rockets to engage priority targets at ranges of up to 90 to 120 kilometers. This system's typical targets include opposing artillery batteries and air defense systems, as well as command posts, radar sites, logistical facilities, assembly centers, and other high-value targets. Do you think Russia stands a chance against these NATO rocket artilleries? Let us know in the comment section. Also, check out our video on Japan has now finally revealed the 6th generation fighter,